His name is John C.
Enemy cruiser destroyed.
The USS Wisconsin is a Tier 10 American battleship, famously known for getting upset over the smallest thing, which is a completely normal American behavior. This is the third official release of the Iowa class battleship in this game. Remember the misery. She has seen everything. Mostly unfortunate things, including being another victim of FOMO practice thanks to her namesake. Leave it to wargaming to keep your famous historical ships expensive or out of reach. However, the Wisconsin promises a better deal through the dockyard event. But is it a good ship? Or is it just another glorified famous historical ship wildcard that wargaming pulled to attract historians and ship fuckers with too much time or money on their hands? One of the biggest improvement over its sister ships is the accuracy and 2.0 sigma value, making it the most accurate American battleship, which can be further improved with the American exclusive battleship upgrade, putting it on par with that Russian sniper. This best-in-class accuracy gives the Wisconsin a very high hit probability. You could land these kind of shots if you aim properly, or completely miss the mark, because the enemy slightly turned their ship. Either way, a reliable dispersion fixes one of the problems that plagues battleships in this game. It can deal more damage effectively, and it gives a new meaning to punishing broadsides. However, this is not the only gimmick that defines the Wisconsin. It's not enough to justify the bump to Tier 10. To address that, the Wisconsin receives its own stratagem, called the Immediate Systems Reload, or as I would like to call, Quick and Easy Democracy. What it does is reducing the main gun reload time by 50% and the consumables reload by 80%. After landing a total of 16 shells without interruption, you can already expect how this combat instruction affects the game, especially to the unfortunate soul that thought he could make the turn before your next reload. There is a reason why both of these French cruisers are considered to be some of the best ships in the game, and now you have their gimmick. Nothing is more broken than having the ability to slice a battleship reload by half, given most players are only familiar with the average 30 seconds reload, so expect a lot of dead cruisers and destroyers. This is especially useful for doing follow-up shots on a broadsiding ship. If black hole armor or RNG dispersion gets in the way, you can have up to 2 more chances to finish the job and potentially save the day. Clearly, this would be enough to make it competitive at Tier 10. But this is where logic gets thrown out of the window, because this reload booster and the aforementioned accuracy improvement are basically nothing compared to the other combat instruction feature. To better explain what I mean by that, here is a short demonstration of said feature in action.
Ship is on fire.
Oh no!
America, fuck yeah! Coming again to save the motherfucking day, yeah! America, fuck yeah! Freedom is the only way, yeah!
What you just witness is solving, or should I say breaking, the biggest problem found on every battleship in the game, which is dealing with fire or flooding. With a simple touch of a button, it lowers the cooldown of the DCP and the repair party to under 20 seconds. In this game, that is practically instant. Need to repair those 2 fires on the ship? Do not worry, just press that DCP button and feel safe knowing you have a backup ready to be used against the next HE salvo that has increased fire chance when your DCP is on cooldown. We've all been there, but the Wisconsin does not care. You can also alternate the usage with the repair party. If it's only a single fire, all you have to do is to get that F key turning green. Seriously, I have never seen such game-breaking gimmick since wargaming turned every battleship player into a sniper. Not only it made fire prevention build trivial, but there is no other downside given to the ship at all. As a comparison, the only other ship that has this gimmick are the Pan American Cruiser line, and because of that, they get an absurdly long consumables cooldown time. Yet the Wisconsin does not get the same treatment. It has the standard American consumables, American DCP, and American Repair Party. Oh, and let's not forget that it has both spotter plane and defensive fire consumable as well. What more do you want? Cruise missiles. Well, the chance is non-zero, because despite committing a totally forgivable crime of claiming gimmicks from other nations, some people still thought it's not American enough. I think I know why, and it has nothing to do with all the things I've mentioned. The problem is the ship itself. This is an Iowa-class battleship, one of the most beautiful ship ever created by mankind, a pinnacle of engineering, a symbol of democracy, and a total piece of junk in this funny boat game. This is a very long ship, with massive superstructure, massive turning circle, incredibly bad gun angle, and a hull design that gets penetrated if you try to use the rear gun. All of these are inherent flaws, and there is nothing you can do about it. It will be punished heavily from any direction, especially when doing the infamous tactical retreat. This is the worst ship at doing that. Some cruisers are also able to kill it through sheer penetration damage, either from HE or from SAP shells that ignores the thinly armored hull. Generally speaking, it's annoying to play when it's forced to retreat. Fortunately, it is less likely to eat a citadel, as they are now completely underwater, quite an improvement over its sister ships, although it is still vulnerable to long-range shot, but at least it is impossible to completely blow the ship out of the water. I guess there has been too much instances of this particular class of battleship being deleted, and Americans don't like that. So, we have established that the Wisconsin gets a dependable gun, and a special gimmick that can fundamentally change the gameplay, but it still has the same alpha damage as its sister ships, not that much HP, and a hull design that constantly betrays the player. To find out how it plays, let's go back to a certain video of mine. If you want to simulate the Slaver experience without busting your own nuts, get an Iowa, use the accuracy mod, and then park in the middle. You could probably do better with it, or maybe watch the Ohio guide link below. My videos are truly ahead of its time. Anyway, that is where you should park your Wisconsin, with one key difference: you want to be closer to the action, so the enemy cannot resist to shoot you, and you get to shoot at more ships, to quickly fill up that gimmick button. It's basically gunboat diplomacy. If you shoot me, which you will, then I will shoot you back, and if you keep shooting me, you have given me reason to be stronger, then I will blame it on you. And there is nothing you can do about it. Unlike the Slaver, you don't have to actively find broadsides to shoot. However, since you will be closer, maintaining this engagement would still require some brain cells, which is in short supply on many American ships. Why does this keeps happening? Wherever you are, you don't want to expose the other side of the ship. This means if you decide to be in the middle of the map, you make sure there is a massive island on the opposite side of your kill zone. And if you are on the flanks, you make sure not to leave any gaps for destroyer to slip through. Then, you keep your bow towards the enemy at all time, and do not angle away. This may sound idiotic, but after many games, I found that this is the best way to play the ship. It gives an illusion of being an easy target, so more people will be more likely to shoot you, which is great, because a focus fire directed to you is a focus fire taken away from your teammates, and they don't have access to manage democracy. Having to play like this will not be easy. Most people don't want to waste their HP for potentially no gain for themselves, especially in tier 10. But with a Wisconsin, it's all or nothing, just like its armor. You need consistency, bravery, and resilience. You must not waste any shot. You must not snipe from the back. You must not be shaken. When some random bloke did 1 million damage to the superstructure, by standing your ground, you leave the enemy with two choices: coordinating more of their ships to kill you, which potentially reward you with more ships to shoot, or to ignore you instead, which turns you into a problem for later part of the game. To improve your chances, you want to have a full concealment build, and also propulsion mod 1 to help you avoid more shots. You will know that you have played the ship correctly if you frequently use the combat instructions, either for negating damage, or to land that game-changing shot. your priority would be all the aforementioned counters, and also the obligatory rule of shooting destroyers because there is no better target to shoot. Everywhere in between, you go shoot at massive ships to fill the gimmick button. And remember, it is most effective for catching broadsides or when most of your consumables is on cooldown. It is up to you to decide which one to use at given situation. Once you grind down your biggest counters, you can cheese the game however you like. You have the speed to get into places faster than your teammates, taking all the glory kills. Because at the end of the day, it's all about capitalism. And by playing an American ship, you can get away from any repercussions, especially against fellow Americans. Of course, I must come clean and hit you back with some reality check. If one of this ship is stalking your position, immediately pack up and go back playing like a cruiser. Then tell everyone about all the fun you had in this game. While the Wisconsin has risk and reward written all over the ship, it only goes up to a certain point, because every ship in the game is only as good as the game allowed them to be. There will be games where nothing fucking works to your favor, and you have no one to shoot, so you're just gonna die a fiery death. But even if things doesn't go as planned, the overall consistency provided by the Wisconsin, be it good or bad, is one of a kind, and I think that is enough reason to get this ship. You only need to suffer through the terrible hull design and terrible gun angle, so don't expect to avoid every shot, especially torpedoes. This is how you play the dollar store Borgo. You take gun feeder, grease the gears, adrenaline rush, and emergency repair expert, then take super heavy AP shells, concealment expert, improved repair party readiness, and finally emergency repair specialist. This will provide a good balance between firepower and survivability. The alternative build would be changing improved party readiness for brisk, along with AA defense and ASW expert. Take this if you are the conservative type. But if you hate your sanity, you can try this build and maximize the DPM. The standard survivability build would work as well if you are using the same captain for other battleships. What makes the Wisconsin unique is that it can use this specific skill without having to deal with the negatives if you play it correctly. For the upgrades, you take main armaments mod 1 or damage control party mod 1 to get 30 seconds of DCP duration. Then take either damage control system mod 1 or defensive AA fire mod 1. Both are equally useful. For the third slot, I would recommend the main battery mod 2 instead of artillery plotting room. To achieve more flexibility, you won't need the extra range anyway, unless you like to snipe carriers. For the fourth slot, take the propulsion mod 1, so you can dodge better when moving forwards or backwards. Again, reducing fire and flooding duration is not necessary if you know how to make use of its gimmick, but feel free to take damage control system mod 2 if you're not confident enough. Then take the concealment system mod 1, and finally take the artillery plotting room mod 2. One thing is for certain, don't build it for secondaries, even as a joke, as it is glaringly obvious that Wargaming doesn't want you to do it. There is no questioning that the Wisconsin is the best version of the Iowa class battleship in this game. The whole French treatment, along with American favoritism, yet it's putting all of those strengths on a handicapped hull design, something that isn't found on many fantasy tier 10 ships. Because fantasy ships are not constrained by real life examples, you can be the best battleship player in the game, but you won't be able to do anything against a Montana that are doing a tactical retreat. It has superior hull, gun angle, and no superstructure. It is simply a better ship, and it is not the only one. Of course, this does not apply to all real life ships in this game, but the Wisconsin sticks out because people have high expectations on the most powerful battleship America has ever built, only to find themselves going through 5 stages of grief instead. But if you manage to fight through all the handicaps, brute forcing people with sheer accuracy and fire resistance, you will have a game like no other. That being said, I don't think these negative quirks on the Wisconsin matters at all, because nobody would say no to a high profile tier 10 freebie, a historical one as well. And being a dockyard ship means you don't have to pay much money to get it, as long as you do the grind. It's not the best tier 10 ship, not even the best American ship, but who the hell cares? It reeks so much democracy, and no one could ignore it. Now go back grinding those missions. You don't want to miss out on getting one of the last battleship afloat. And once you've done grinding, remember to complain about limited time event.
I didn't do fucking shit.